Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Good day, viewers. You're welcome on board Pertinent Questions on Western Spring Television. As the Nigerian nation continued in a search for industrial development, experts continue to stress the need for Nigerian nation to tweak its educational curriculum in favor of technical education. The argument is that technical education offers the advantage of practical skills and, of course, skills that the Nigerians need to create, to develop, and to establish cottage industries. Today, pertinent questions will be around how can Nigeria develop and take advantage of technical education in its quest for industrial development. My guest on the program is an expert in technical education. He has his PhD in computer science. He's also a proprietor of a technical college. Dr. Dayo Tubowale, welcome on the program.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So good to see you.
It's happy to be here.
You are a lawyer.
Yes.
You have a PhD in computer science.
Exactly.
Why the quest for so much knowledge?
Well, looking at it, I've discovered that in today's world, one lane educational pattern will not be able to give you a balanced life in terms of if you are in the academia and you want to make wave because of the fault of our curriculum right from the beginning. I started as a science student, and as a science student, of course, we understand all the calculations here and there, but do you know that we don't understand how to manage human beings? Now, we don't know anything about accounting. We know little or nothing about history and human management. When I went into art, wanting to become a lawyer, I need to read and I need to understand literature in English, CRK, and some of these courses. Then I understood part of the history of my heritage. I was able to understand some things about handling human beings. So becoming a lawyer now, I now understand more about the philosophy of life. So that has helped me to some extent to be able to have a balance. Then I still work on accounting as well. I told someone jokingly that very soon I'll be a chartered accountant.
Wow.
And,
like the three professionals in one.
Exactly, because you need to be balanced, and such can be avoided if our curriculum is rightly tailored right from the beginning.
So what you are saying is that the fact that you have acquired a legal knowledge is assisting your computer science knowledge.
Exactly. It assists, and that's why even at the law school, but there are some courses that we have to take that has to do with ICT. When I got there, when the teacher started teaching, and I just answered a question, what they did was to hand over the class to me for that day. Wow. I became the teacher on that particular topic.
Well, were you paid for that?
No, of course. It's, we call it pro bono.
That's right.
So I did that pro bono.
Now, Doc, the focus of our discourse today on Pertinent Question is on technical education in Nigeria.
Exactly.
It's all about applied and practical skills, its acquisition. Do you think the Nigerian education curriculum is tweaked in the way that it will deepen acquisition of technical knowledge?
Well, the answer is very clear, no. And I will explain. You see, I'm so happy with what Western Spring Television is doing because a lot of people do not understand the differences, and I will have to explain this. Now, we talk about entrepreneurship.
Yes, sir.
We don't have entrepreneurship yet in Nigeria. What we have is just skill acquisition. There are two different things. An entrepreneur is an idea generator.
That's right.
If you don't have an idea, there is nothing entrepreneurial about you. Get it very clear. Anybody can acquire skills. But when we talk of idea generators, those are the entrepreneurs. You can acquire skills and become a skilled worker to an entrepreneur. The entrepreneurship starts from problem identification, through research, and you now have to come with an idea to solve the problem that you have researched into. Take, for example, a lot of people that are 50 years and above, most of us will have one challenge or the other, especially when it comes to the issue of hypertension, diabetes, and rest. Do you know that it is not common to have a restaurant that deals with hypertensive patients, that you can go there and eat there is no Maggi, no this, no that you are a diabetic patient. If you eat it consistently, you will cure your diabetics. That's an idea. I have that idea, but I'm not a cook. Then I can go ahead and acquire skill in catering, so that by the time I acquire the skill, that does not mean I won't engage people, but I will have understood the nitty-gritties of it. Then I will now be able to bring my idea into materialization. That is what entrepreneurship is about. Now, if you look at our curriculum, we talk about entrepreneurship. They will tell you, learn music, learn sewing. That's not it. That you are learning sewing, you are learning music, you are learning how to fix this, how to fix that. It's not entrepreneurship. That is just mere skill acquisition, and it's never the starting point. So even the one we felt has been the executive secretary of National Board for Technical Education, he said some 2 months ago that by January, any polytechnic that does not have a standard entrepreneurial center will not be given accreditation. And I was like, I wish I can explain further to the ES that entrepreneurial center is not where they only put machines, all these instruments. The starting point is a place, a garden where idealization, idea generation, people can meditate. We sit down and ask ourselves, what is the challenge of this state? What's the challenge of this country? Then you from research, you now bring up an idea. From there, you now grow into.
Okay, let's call to the chase now. The Nigerians continue to lament the fact that we are an import-dependent nation.
Exactly.
That we produce practically nothing.
Exactly.
It will shock you that Nigeria expend $22.2 billion every year on food importation alone, despite the rich, arable land that Nigeria is blessed with.
Yes.
That tells you we are not doing anything. And somebody said that a nation that does not produce what she consumes or consume what she produces is
on the edge of failure.
Is at the precipice of failure. So the question now is, and some do argue that the British colonialists set Nigeria up for failure, that our educational curriculum ab initio was structured to train us to be administrative assistants, to be clerical officers,
and to be dependent
on them.
Continuously dependent.
Now, in practical terms,
yes,
as a serious nation,
yes,
desirous of development, what should we do to change this course of dependency?
Well, I say it's this way. We have mentality, we have reality. What you are pushing now is the reality. What we live with now is our mentality. And we say, what is mentality? The way you see it. What is reality? The way it is. And you know the slogan of Western Spring Television, as it is.
That's right.
That is reality. Now, if your mentality contradicts reality, calamity is inevitable. It's certain. Now, our mentality is, I gave students a particular assignment about 4 months ago. And the one students, there are over 500 in the class. I told them, write down go to your parents. I collected the number of their parents and guardians. Go to your parents and tell them, what do they want from you? So they went to their parents, they came back. Of course, I couldn't mark all, but I marked over 200 pieces, and I was able to call about 3 or 4 parents. Do you know one thing I saw?
Wow.
Out of all the parents, none of them said the student is expected to start a company. Mentality. Our mentality is, when you graduate, you
get a job.
What's the job? Salary job. Preferably you are working with the government. Nobody says start something. That's why a graduate will tell you, I'm through with my school. Uncle, what next? This is my CV. They don't present their ideas. They present their CV. Where did they start from? It started from primary school. When your child is through in primary school, what you want to be sure is that he has passed that primary 6 examination to move to the secondary school. At secondary school, do you have your 5 credits? That's the question we have.
Right.
I was asking my firstborn, before she got into the university, I was asking her, what do you want to add to this country? Daddy, I've passed my WAEC. I said, it's not enough. What do you want to create? We are satisfied with 5 credits, 5 decisions. Look at your child. She has done fine. She has 5 A's.
That's right.
And that's all.
Mentality.
That's the wrong mentality. So the children are trained to run after the grades. So once you pursue the grades, you will never have the mind to create anything.
How do we not change the mentality?
Exactly.
The mindset.
What Western Spring Television is doing is changing the mentality. Then we will not stop here. We will organize conferences. Then those of us who are involved with technical education, we must be ready to make sacrifices. And one of the things I do in my own college is I've decided that no student will graduate without having something he or she has created. You must have an idea. You are not a dunce. And the moment a child begins to think of solving a problem, that child will not think of getting job from anybody.
No.
Now, what do they do?
Okay.
If you look at it, the moment they find out that there is a problem and they believe in themselves that I can solve this problem, then they will now look for the skills. That's the process. The skill to acquire. And that's what led me into going into law. Because I always tell people, when you talk about these technical skills, it has to do with your innate ability. If you look at some people, some of the people who work here, for example, not everybody studied mass comm.
That's right.
Some of them studied maybe engineering.
That's right.
But they are performing well. You know the reason.
That's right.
There is difference between potential and profession. When your potential collaborates with your profession, your prosperity is inevitable.
That's right.
You understand? But once it contradicts, as an engineer, I got to the peak. PhD, that's the peak. But what I have made as a lawyer in the last 2 years, I didn't make it as an engineer in the last 20 years. Talking from my personal experience. Why? I am a gifted speaker. I understand this process. But I went into sciences. They should have pushed me to humanities. But once you are the best in your secondary school,
you are in sciences.
You are in sciences. So I fell victim of that. But I have to retrace my step. I was over 40 years. When I went to write WAEC, I sat for WAEC, sat for JAMB, went to for law. After that, I went to law school.
Wow.
And now came back. Now I'm through with my master's in law.
Commendable.
You understand?
Dr. Shibowale, a human being may not be able to grow beyond his or her environment.
Exactly.
Environment has the potential to limit our rights.
Our output, yes.
Government structure, government policies are limiting policies and limiting structures. Growing up, I remember we had viable, varied technical schools all over the place.
Yes.
But these schools are dead. And they're not even attractive to an average person in Nigeria. Do you think we need to go back to that and bring those schools alive, resuscitate the system?
You see, the way the technical schools were designed then,
yes,
they were not designed to stay longer than they stayed.
Wow.
They died at the right time according to the design.
Wow.
You see, this is something that is certain. If you look at what we produce here, does not matter to us. Graduates of technical schools are seen as not only, they are not even up to middlemen the way they are seen. They are seen as if, okay, you go there, then you become an artisan. You are not that respected in the community. Let's look at the polytechnic and the university. The government has been telling us no dichotomy, theoretically. But by virtue of the policies, the government has been saying there is dichotomy. You see the contradiction. Now the ES just said something that is very important, that from January 2023 now, that polytechnic graduates will now be considered as assistant lecturers in the polytechnics. It's a very commendable effort, but it shouldn't stop there. Nobody should be allowed to be a rector in a polytechnic who has not been through polytechnic system, even if it is ND. Then the idea of calling HND a diploma course should be changed. For you to have HND, you will have spent 5 years, even if it is accountancy, because there is 1 year of compulsory internship,
yes.
Whereas in the university, it is all straight through theory. So you see that HND graduates tend to be more exposed practically than the BSc graduate.
Yes,
I have taught in the school, in the two systems, and I know what is obtainable.
I went through the two systems.
You see that now. So if the government wants to assist this country, we need to promote the positioning of HND graduate. Then when we do that, then this issue of masters and PhD, there should be a line.
Now, at what point in the trajectory of educational career should we start to encourage or whet the appetite of pupils or students in technical education?
Right from primary school. As a matter of fact, right from nursery school. And the way to do it, that's the next thing I was about to say, is the reward system for investors.
Inventors.
Inventors.
Yes, right.
Because, you see, in technical education, what we do in the educational system is not seen as innovation. It's only seen as invention. When it becomes innovation, when it has been commercialized, we have a lot of prototypes that are dead on the shelf. My PhD work was meant to save lives of babies. And during my final defense, the external supervisor said something. I hope this doesn't die on the shelf as well.
How do we take these ideas off the shelf and take them to the commercial place? How do we commercialize them?
There should be a policy that will bring the academia and the industrial sector together.
Form a nexus.
Exactly. And the government is the one to do this. And there must be a reward system. For example, those in the polytechnic, their masters should be technical masters. It's not the regular masters that we run in the university.
Dr. Chubawale, if you go around at the federal level, at the state level, there are so many agencies, interministerial agencies or departments that have the responsibility to promote the things you are talking about: technical education, entrepreneurship. Are they dead on arrival? Are they not do what they're supposed to do? Do they understand the enormity of the task at hand?
The last point you mentioned is the problem. They do not even understand what entrepreneurship
is all about.
Until I said it very clearly: research, problem solving. Now we are talking of forming a nexus between the academia and industry. Then it will not stop there. We also have to look at the reward system. The reward system, if you are in the technical education, the masters in the university should be different from the one in the polytechnic. Computer engineer, you have PhD in computer engineering, and there is no device you have produced, you should not be allowed to go. If you say a computer engineer like myself, who has a PhD and he doesn't have a product, then what is the PhD about? But you have a lot of professors professing nothing.
That's right.
You understand? So, look, if you are a theoretical professor, let us know that's who you are. I think the issue of the academia must be visited and revisited by the government. Because now if you look at what we are producing, a lot of us want to become professors. After our PhD, we write papers, and after the papers, we make presentation, and we are professors, and some people will just not go forward. And that's one of the reasons why you see ASU keeps telling the government, fund education. When we are talking of funding education, it's not salary. What they are saying is there should be laboratories. Look at what you are doing here. What you are doing here, how many people can do this? Our politicians, by the time they are opportune, because in Nigeria to be a politician
is an opportunity.
It's an opportunity.
And a golden one for that matter.
A golden one. Once you get to the National House of Assembly or wherever, by the time you are coming back, you are no more who you were financially.
That's right.
The next thing is they want to start hotel. You know the reason? No ideas. So when you set up hotel, you don't need to stay there. You put someone there, and of course you have started. And a lot of these hotels, after 10 years, they are nowhere to be found because there are nothing. They are producing nothing. There is nothing to give. If I can never have the money they have and start hotel. Look at what you have put up. Imagine if you are now opportune. If you have the kind of opportunity they have, do you know what will happen to the media in Nigeria? That's another issue. Most of these people don't understand that when they solve problems, then they will become richer. They will become relevant. It's not setting up of hotels. It's a lot. That's why I spoke about the reward system. A lot of things are not working because our mentality is wrong. And people like you must not stop doing what you are doing. And if you go to the primary school level, I just told you about parents. When your child is trying secondary school, you are looking for the 5 A's. Do you you don't even ask for 9 papers. Some parents don't even know that they write 9 papers. Do you have your 5 credits, English and math? That's all. Imagine if your father asked you, have you produced anything? Have you written any book? I took my children to Jesha at a time.
That's
when
right.
we got there, you know, this water, cold water stuff. Some people came there praying.
Yeah.
And I told my children, I said, this is the problem of Nigeria. Now, they will never ask, why is this one cold? Why is this one?
That is Ikogosi.
Ikogosi,
Warm spring, that's
warm
right.
spring. You understand? They will never ask that question. They will go there, they will pray. You understand? After they have prayed, they will leave.
That's
and
right.
you want a solution. And I told my child, I said, if you want to study pharmacy, if this is happening, come and tell me the reason why this is happening and what this can do to our health. Once that is solved,
We all seen it from the spiritual perspective.
that is part of our challenges. Do you understand? Once you believe that, oh, there is someone somewhere who will still do something for you, God is sovereign, God is good,
That's
but
right.
God will not do your duty. God didn't set up this lab. You did. But He gave you the wisdom. He gave you life. You are not the only one He gave life.
Okay, before we go on break, Dr. Shobowale, looking at the Nigerian nation, do you think we can copy the Asian tiger model, Malaysia, Singapore, China, the success they've recorded by empowering medium, small-scale entrepreneurs in technical form and in practical forms?
Well,
is that a model to copy?
It's a model to copy, but we need people who have the knowledge in governance before that can be done. In China, about 6 weeks ago, they converted 600 universities to polytechnics. In Nigeria, we are upgrading. I almost wept when I heard that they wanted to upgrade Yabatek, that you want to take away all the legacies we have. Because you are to empower Yabatek. There is no comparison. Can I upgrade you to a woman?
No.
That is the mistake. If I can't upgrade you to a woman, why are you upgrading? What's the meaning of upgrade? Are you better than your wife? You are not. She's not better than you. So what's the meaning of upgrade? That's why, okay, you know that at a particular time, if you don't have a male child.
Do you see this as, apology to Botin, do you see it as the problem of those who are policymakers, that substantially they may be university graduates and they tend to want to monopolize the space and discriminate against polytechnic education graduates?
You know, it's our problem in Nigeria. My child must be a doctor, my child must be a lawyer.
But those things are no more relevant.
Yes. So now it will die off. We are the ones starting it now. We have been saying this. By the time our generation goes off, the next generation will see more light. This is what will happen.
Doc, hold your thought.
Okay.
We need to go on this break. Viewers at home, the program is Pertinent Questions. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Western Spring Television. And you can also watch us live and subscribe to our YouTube at Western Spring Television. See you after this break.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girls got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be showing on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
You Welcome back. The program is Pertinent Questions on Western Spring Television. And my guest today is Dr. Dayo Shubowale, a technical education expert. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Since we have so much passion, so much belief in university education, can we then tweak the curriculum of our university education to suit this technical purpose?
Well, you see, the idea is that we cannot set up our own way of doing things without following the standard worldwide. Those who are getting...
So we can't have an homegrown educational curriculum?
It's not going to work.
Why?
Because those who have gotten results follow the pattern. If what is our own problem, there's no way we can modernize our problem to become a solution. If we are doing it wrongly, mentality, we have to follow what...
My point is this, Doc.
Okay.
Since an average Nigerian parent will not even contemplate or even accept the fact that his or her child goes to a technical college, a polytechnic, and they want all their wards and children to go to university.
Yes.
Then why can't government tweak or restructure the university education to have technical flavor? Why can't we do that?
Exactly. The university educational system is designed for a purpose. Don't forget that everybody has his role. You cannot be an engineer and a technologist at the same time.
It's not possible.
It's not possible. Now, you have some people who will do the design. Some people will implement the design. If everybody is saying, okay, those who are supposed to design, to draw the design, if they are also saying that they want to implement, then what's going to happen? You cannot be in two places at the same time. C'est pas possible. That's what the French people will tell you. So looking at it, what we need to do is to look at the standard and increase our reward system. In Dubai, you won't believe that the technologist gets more paid than the engineer.
Because they get the job done.
Because
anyway.
they get the job done. But over here, reverse is the case. We have turned the pyramid upside down, and once we have turned it upside down, we cannot get a different result more than for it to fail. It's going to fail. We talk about middlemen. How many people will head this company? If you have about 5 heading the company, the number of people heading this company will always be 1. No company will have 2, 3, 4, 5 CEOs, but the workers will be many. Now, can you tweak it and make your CEO 10? No. And those in the studio 1 and ask the CEOs to do the work of the studio.
No.
So that's it. It's not going to work. So what we need to do is very clear. Our mentality. Someone like me, when I'm through with maybe whatever I'm doing in the university system, I must leave and join this, because I've discovered that salary job is going to take you nowhere until you solve a problem. Imagine now, people are getting wiser. If you look at all these plastics, you hardly find them on the floor again because recycling has begun. I worked with a friend who worked on recycling for his PhD program. That what he did should be given to someone in the polytechnic to design the equipment. He got stuck when it came to designing the equipment because he has written out all the patterns, all the formula, the algorithm. Now we have to build a machine. It cannot go forward.
Wow.
If you ask him to build the machine, he will spend 10 years on his PhD. There's someone in the polytechnic who can build the machine but cannot write the algorithm. What stops them from working together?
Collaboration.
So you have your PhD, I have my PhD technical, this is what I've produced. Your PhD theoretical, this is what you have designed.
Dr. Shubowale, the focus globally now is what can you do?
Exactly.
Not what did you study. The first question an average Briton will ask you, what can you do? What value can you add?
Exactly.
If you walk through the doors to my office, prospecting to a job at Western Spring Television or Raven at 1.7 FM, I care less about your CV. That's the last thing I'm going to ask from you. I ask, what value can you bring on board? I'm a value-driven person.
Yes.
Since that is the dictate and the dynamics worldwide, so that we are not perpetually where we are as a people and as a nation.
Exactly.
What radical thing should we do as a matter of urgency to change this dependency level that we are?
Let the government has no business in business.
That's right.
Let them leave business for us. You can't go to some of these telecommunication companies and tell them this is my CV. But an average graduate, what does it present to you?
The CV.
The CV. So once you begin to ask for what can you add, they will stop presenting what they have studied. If you keep saying, how many degrees do you have? Then that's what they will keep presenting. Let's ask for what we need. Then they will produce what we need for us. It's all encompassing.
But there's need for a national orientation.
Definitely.
A national mind shift.
That is what you have started.
If there's no that paradigm shift, we'll be where we are.
No, if we don't have it in the next 5 years, the retrogression level will be very high. I was laughing when people said the inflation rate is increasing. I said, you've not seen anything.
Wow.
We have not seen anything. You know what Putin said? Putin made them understand that the Western world cannot do without them. It's clear. He knows what he was saying, and that's why he was fighting. He knows his value system. I told some people something. Nigerians, they just concluded World Cup. You know, a lot of people were not happy. Our green goals were not there. Yeah. But we did not realize that our singers started that program and closed the program. The country with the highest benefit, the Super Eagles, right? The country with the highest benefit is China. They never presented a team. Nigeria should know what we are asking for. We may not be good in terms of sports, we may not be there, we may not be the Argentinas, the Brazils, and the rest, but when it comes to music, a Brazilian was not invited to sing.
Entertainment industry.
Entertainment industry. If that is what we have, why don't we blow it up? You understand? It's not compulsory. If we are everywhere, we'll be nowhere. Any player that runs through the pitch will not win the man of the match. Is the one that makes impact. And when you want to make impact, it's either you are saving goals from coming in or you are causing goals to go in. You have to decide what you want.
A lot has been said, and people have said that most Nigerian youth are very IT savvy.
Exactly.
And most international companies, they hire indirectly Nigerians that work from them from air. Even when they step out of the shores of Nigeria, they work with all these blue chip companies.
Exactly.
How do we annex these resources?
When we start believing in ourselves. That's clear. When the federal government banned Twitter, they said they didn't ban it whatsoever, I was telling the youth, I said, this is an opportunity for you. Someone designed Twitter. Design something. You know, Israel, China, and the rest, they don't use all this social media. They have theirs because the social media is meant to direct your thought line. And if the Western world still determines what we do, in Nigeria here, we will go, it's this, all these EPL teams, we celebrate them because that's what the social media sells to us. But our own Oshun babes, Abiola babes, Oyo babes, Lagos babes, stationary stores.
It will shock you that most Nigerians are more loyal to Chelsea, Arsenal, Man U,
they will be mentioning the name of the coaches that don't know their father.
And the players.
And the players.
And they'll be fighting themselves.
Exactly. Now imagine if my daddy's name was being mentioned as the coach of stationary stores.
How do we change this neo-colonialism?
That's why
this receivership mentality, the grant mentality that we have, our life depends on the Caucasians.
I will throw that challenge back to you because you are doing a very good job.
Thank you.
This must not stop. Once you start this debate, now imagine if you call CEOs, you can call a meeting sometimes in this new year and maybe in another 6-7 months, I want all the CEOs to come together. You as an individual, if you call CEOs, they will want to respond to you. Anybody who cannot come will send a representative. And you now tell them, what are we asking from our employees? If that is all you have done, you will have caused them to see reasons why there is a change.
Doc, we have Ministry of Labor and Productivity.
Don't go there.
Domiciled in Abuja.
Don't go there.
And with branches all over the nation. Are you saying they are just watching the system decay?
You can't give what you don't have. Nemo dat quad non abed. That's what we call it in law. They don't have this, they can't give it. You see,
so should we just throw up our hand and surrender that we are done for?
Where is our GDP coming from? Is it not from the informal sector?
Yes.
We are not ready to concentrate on our strengths. That's the problem. Everybody wants to go into the federal government because you believe the largesse is there. But they end up being dependent people. 30 days, make one pay. What have you created? What have you solved? You know, how many people, why do people get afraid that they will be sacked? I don't fear when they say they want to reduce. When I was in the Polytechnic Center, I told them, if 2 people are left, it's myself and the rector, because I was the one in charge of the internet, of some of the networking. You can't sack someone with your password.
Doc,
you understand? So
I don't want to call you, excuse me, I don't want to call you a fearmonger, but your fearmongering scared me when you said we haven't seen nothing yet. Talking of inflation.
No, we have
now
not seen anything.
we are going into a critical election.
Yes.
That will produce the next president that will steer the ship of this nation.
Yes.
What kind of a person do we need to hand over the steering?
Well, you see,
of this nation too.
Whoever, from all the people we have seen, whoever emerges, I'm not expecting a miracle.
Wow.
Whoever. Do you see the reason is this? This thing is not going to, it's not really going to happen bottom, it's going to happen bottom up. You and I have more effects than any politician. I just told you about something. If you call CEOs, it has more impact than what a governor would do. We have our laws. I'm a lawyer. A president, we think too much about what the president can do. With the president, is it going to be by, it's not a military era. It's democracy. When we are sending people to the house, you ask them to make road. Are they to make road or to make laws? We concentrate on the president, not the National Assembly. The National Assembly decides a lot of things in this country. They make the policies.
Let's go back to acquisition of practical and applied skills.
Okay.
It will shock you today that if you want to put up a building, majority of those who deliver the services of a mason, a POP person, a painter, they are not even Nigerians. A tiler.
We even go to Togo.
We cross the border to Togo, to Cotonou, to bring these people on board.
Yes.
We don't even trust the expertise and the finesse of our people locally.
And let me even tell you something.
Are we not outsourcing something big and exporting jobs?
When I was in Germany, I saw someone at the stadium, and I was like, oh, we want to snap together. I said, no. You people are more than me. That is just an attendant at the state. That's the truth. And we are professors, doctors, engineers from Nigeria. We just went on maybe 3 weeks excursion. Now that is how bad our mentality is. Anything air is not promoted. When I saw your clothes today, I was like, wow, this is typical. No, you just got it. You understand? Now, if this continues, it will encourage the producers. Of a truth, we may have challenges because we don't pay attention to details. If you see some of these people incomplete, I spoke about the reward.
But if you enhance their skills, if they are exposed to technical training and education, perhaps they will change.
Have you gone on interview recently to find out that the mechanics don't have apprentices again?
Yes. They complain about
the challenges are there.
The wires.
The bricklayers, you understand? Because anytime you have them, the people that engage them sees them as second-class citizens. We don't.
My mechanic complained to me that there was a time he had about 10 apprentices, but majority of them have become Okada riders, bought for them by politicians.
You see it? By the time, that's another area I think the politicians should watch. I want to give out a sewing machine. You send someone 6 months, and after 6 months, you bought him sewing machine, you have destroyed him. Where is the service? Do you know, even you will have experienced it with some workers there. When they come to you, they look at you, the next thing is how to replace you. They are not ready to serve. That mentality is not there. That's why I'm saying that when you ask, when you are talking of election year, when the president comes in, whoever the president is, what's he going to do? Increase salary? Will he change the mentality of the people? Will it make the people to understand that you have to go and serve? That service is not NYSC.
Are you talking of national rebirth?
That is what we are talking about.
Who orchestrates a national rebirth? Is the leadership that will orchestrate a national
rebirth. When the leadership fails to do it, the leadership that is not saying it, you cannot do it if the people are not asking for it. What are we asking for? We just want Nigeria to work. We want fuel to be 10 naira. How? It's not our business. Then how is it going to work? Now, what you are doing now is orchestrating rebirth. This program. If you consistently do this, one day one of them will watch. Then people, CEOs will begin to make demands. Nobody will work in Western Spring Television and bring CV from the way you are doing it. Don't go to that man with your CV. Go to him with your ideas.
That's right.
You understand? Once they know that, if they meet that with you, they meet that with me, they meet that with other CEOs, don't you know there's going to be a revolution? You and I can start this. To wait for government, we are joking.
Well, people say ideas rule the world.
Exactly.
The question is, if you're encouraging people to create, to develop, and to establish medium-scale enterprises,
Yes.
small-scale enterprises,
Yes.
not even large-scale enterprises now. We need a lot of monetary support
Exactly.
and finance. So finance is not the main thing. Idea is the main thing that you have to possess.
Yes.
Our banks, the way they are structured, they don't even support startups.
No, not at all.
Let me share a story with you. When I started Raven at 1.7 FM 2015, because the business was small, my bank told me, because I needed a facility less than 10 million naira to take off, that as a matter of deliberate policy of the bank, they don't support startups.
Yes.
And I asked them what is startups. They said new companies without records. And I told them, are you seeing my antecedent as a professional journalist? And what I've invested in this business that you are cognizant of are not enough reasons for you to support this? That is the policy. With that policy in place and not changed, how do we encourage young ones to go into the business of entrepreneurship?
Well, there are two ways to go about it. I faced some, in fact, I'm still facing it. Because when I went to them and they told me the same thing, I told them I've been an educationist all my life. Come and see what I have done. What I need is just 10% of what I've invested. Are you still saying you are not satisfied? And they gave me some reasons and I agree with them. Collateral is key. A lot of Nigerians have, at one time or the other, a lot of Nigerians have duped them, or they have said, oh, we want to set up a radio station, and in the long run, they marry more wives and get more vehicles. The bankers will tell you that. But what the bankers should do to help us is very simple. They need to add another factor to collateral, and that is professionalism. What you will do with 10 million in the media world, I can't achieve with 50 million.
That's right.
Because you know it.
And what you're going to do with 5 million in the computer science world, in the technical education world, I can't do it with 100 million.
Exactly. Because that's just how it is. Once they understand that, they only need to understand who the professionals are, and they should not allow politicians to now take over the facilities, because that is where the problem came from. Now, by the time you solve that, let's now come to the youth. How do we help them? It's very simple. I always tell youth that you don't need money to start a business.
That's right. You need the ideas, actually.
Once you have the idea, sir, the next thing is go and serve. Anybody.
Mentorship.
That's it. Anybody who works under you for 10 years, during the course of service, I can bet with anything, he will have met someone who will be ready to sponsor him by the time he's ready. By the time when it is time for your child to go out for marriage and he's staying at home, you tell him to leave.
That's right.
You know, this one you have served me, it's time for you to go and happen.
To go and blow.
Go and blow. It will even be your joy. And in the course of that service, the way nature is designed, it will have met with someone. It happened to me. That's why I tell people that any car you use to learn how to drive, you cannot be charged as a driver using that same car. You are going to serve with the car. It's not compulsory that where you serve is where you will earn. I tell them, you want to earn, then learn. The L is labor.
If today, Dr. Shobawale, I lock you up in a room with President Muhammad Buhari, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria,
Okay.
and you have a single mandate to give him an advice on how to galvanize technical development of our educational system, what will you tell him?
That's serious. The technical education in our system. I'll tell him to close all the religious houses.
Wow. Wow.
It's so funny.
Why?
Because when you don't have, when you know there is no way out, you are not calling on anybody, you call on yourself.
Paul Kagame just did that in Rwanda. He closed churches.
And you see it will work. When nobody is telling you, okay,
are you saying we don't need spiritual education to support our technical education?
I didn't say that you close God. I said close churches, close mosque. I'm not talking about God. I'm talking about those who have merchandised God. That's all. COVID-19 taught us lesson. You prayed to God during COVID-19. I did pray to God.
That's right.
But I did not pay anybody. Do you know that I made more money during COVID-19? I was one of those who didn't want that thing to end.
Wow.
Yeah, I made millions.
Wow.
I went online, digital training with my wife were 2,000 per person.
Wow.
I trained the dignitaries I trained in Nigeria. I've not met them before.
Wow.
And I made millions, I made contacts. If there was no lockdown, I would still think I'm busy.
Are you saying churches are teaching laziness and they're making people idle?
It's a new year. What's the next thing? This year, you will succeed in Jesus' name. You will say amen.
Amen.
You understand? I don't say amen to such prayers.
Wow.
But I ask myself, what should I do this year?
To succeed.
To succeed. Where did I fail last year? That's the question. You see, we can do it. Oh, do you know that you can outrun Usain Bolt? Just let them tie a lion behind you that he is not seeing. You will now see how fast you are. They tie a lion behind you.
I wish I could have you for the next 2 hours.
And he is not seeing the lion. Then they will ask you, who is this boat?
Definitely, you need to come back. This discussion continues. And I hope you are guaranteeing my viewers that you will come back.
Definitely.
That we continue that.
Exactly.
I will discuss whether we need to close religious houses or not.
Of course.
And why must we
They
close
are
them?
doing more harm than good.
Thank you very much.
The prophecies of 2022, I told some people online, can you just help me review all the prophecies of all of them? Did anyone come to pass? The answer is no. And then 2023, they started releasing prophecies again. If you know that 2022 failed, why are you coming to 2023 to give us these same prophecies?
Thank you so very much.
We need to believe God is sovereign. But aside believing in God, we need to believe
in ourselves. So he has given us the innate ability that we call divine cause for us to succeed.
And that's what we have failed to harness.
Thank you so very much. Viewers at home, the program has been Pertinent Questions, and my guest has been Dr. Dayo Shubowale.
Thank you.
A technical education expert. He has a PhD in computer science and is also a legal practitioner with a master's degree in law. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Western Spring Television. And you can also watch us live and subscribe to our YouTube at Western Spring Television. I remain yours sincerely, Femi Adefula. This is the Convenient Sport to drop the curtain on today's edition of Pertinent Questions. See you next week. Thanks.